And we are live. What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 58 of Player Life. It is Friday here in Tokyo. Today, we have a guest on the show, Mark Zolo. He is an Irishman that has traveled around the world, and we're just going to talk about, what his experiences traveling around the world today and what he thinks of you know dating women from different countries and other things. So let us give us an introduction there, if you will.
How you doing, guys? For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Zolo. I run naughtynomad.com. It's probably the largest resource online in men's travel. I've written over 100 city guides for dudes. I've also published 3 books in travel writing. 2 of them got to number 1 in their respective categories in Amazon. It's all about travel and having fun and adventure. And right now I'm speaking to you from Malta, where I own a couple of Irish pubs. I sail, and I'm just kind of living a nice life here. And then in 2 weeks I'm off to Afghanistan and Pakistan. I have a particular interest in dangerous places, and in a previous life I was also renowned for capturing the flag, if you will, which is like seeing girls from different countries. Yeah, that's kind of my background. So I've been, that's me.
Good stuff, man. So when did you start getting into traveling, or where, at what age did you start, like, did you catch the travel bug?
I was quite young, so I was 18 when I was doing my leave insert, which is our exams over in Ireland. You would know this obviously, but there was this thing called the Gold Award, which is the equivalent of the Duke of Edinburgh Award in the UK. And part of the requirements to get this award is to go on some sort of adventure or excursion. And I was lucky enough to apply for this program for students going to Antarctica. So I had this incredible journey when I was 18 to the bottom of the world, across the Drake Passage, the roughest sea in the world. And it was the best experience of my life. So after that, I wasn't exactly happy with 2 weeks in Ayanapo or Spain. I had to really seek proper adventure. So over the next years, I kind of took pretty long, extreme adventures from Cairo to Cape Town, the whole way through the continent of Africa, every single country in Southeast Asia, Moscow, Manila, Trans-Siberian, and I kind of escalated from there. So, and then obviously on my last book, My Life as a Mexican Pirates, it even escalated again, where we started going to war zones dressed like Mexican pirates, which was extremely mental. So yeah, I caught the travel bug early.
That's insane. I can't. You went to Antarctica at 18. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Did you went there alone?
No, I went there alone, as in I think I was the only EU person on the trip, actually.
Right.
I applied. My girlfriend at the time, when I was 17, in her town there was a guy called Jonathan Shackleton, who was related to Ernest Shackleton, the great polar explorer. And I went up to his house, and I got talking to him, and he put me in contact with this guy, Jeff Green, who does excursions and brings students from America. So I applied. I had to apply and write a paper. I can't remember exactly the application process, but I was lucky enough to get accepted, and and it was just, that's how my journey began.
That's cool, man. So you're obviously a very busy man. You have, you're a writer, you're business, you own businesses, pubs, and you're doing YouTube. So how did you get into? First of all, where are you living now again? Where's it? you're
I'm
based?
living in Malta, and it's a
Okay.
for those who don't know where Malta is. A lot of people don't. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean, with a total population, the country, of about like 400,000 people. So it's sort of a tax haven. I mean, you got Binance, the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, based here. Also, you got a lot of the gambling companies, the online gaming companies are based here as well. So there's opportunity here. It's people from all over the world, and yeah, it's a great place to live. It's lower down than Tunis in Africa, so the weather is incredible. And when I came here initially, real estate was quite reasonable as well. So I got bought an apartment here. Couldn't do that in Ireland. Forget about it, because the requirements are so ridiculous. So I saw an opportunity here, and then I opened an Irish pub. Then now we have 3 places, and there's actually a 4th on the way. But I'm just more in an advisory role in that one. But it's let's just say it's in the family.
Cool. So
I mean, my parents and my brother also moved here now. So because what I created here was such a, what we seeded here has grown so much that even my brother moved over when we opened the second bar to take care of it, and then my parents came over as well because they got involved. So I've brought the whole family here as well. So it's amazing.
not here to take part, here to take over. As Conor
Boom.
McGregor
We do say that. Yeah, we do say that. We're the Irish mafia in Malta.
That's good stuff. But so, how old were you when you moved over to Malta?
I moved over exactly this time 5 years ago. I was living in Manhattan, New York, prior to that for 2 years. That was my second book, actually, Naughty Nomads Guys to New York City. I wrote a whole book. I went to every single borough in New York, every single town, and I did like 500 venues, and I broke down all the girls and stuff. It was a colossal waste of time, considering. Well, it wasn't really, but the amount of work that went into that book is ridiculous. But it is the definitive book on New York for men. But anyway, so I got sidetracked there. So I was there for 2 years, and I had the chance to live in America. I did not take that chance because I would have had to basically get married. That was the only way to do it, and I wasn't up for that. So I moved back to Europe, and I was thinking, all right, I want to be closer to home as well. That was a big thing. I would never raise kids in America as well. It's not a good place to raise kids. So I wanted to be in Europe, and Malta was my number one choice. I'd been here 3 times beforehand. I had a friend living here. I loved the lifestyle. So I said, all right, I'm going to move to Malta and give it a shot. And 5 years later, here we are. Worked out.
That's cool, man. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 34.
All right. You've done a lot for only being 34.
Yeah. I have a lot more to do.
Yeah.
A lot more to do. I feel like I'm only getting started.
Yeah. So how many countries have you lived in total?
Just those 3: New York, Ireland, and here. I haven't lived abroad aside from that. New York was my first time proper living abroad.
Okay. And which was the best for women?
Oh, like New York was my pussy paradise, as they say. Yeah. Like I've been to 110 countries, and New York was number 1 for me, especially with the Irish accents. I was, in bars there, and they love it over there. It was so easy. I mean, like I think you can find some of my exploits online, but I just to say I had a lot of fun there, and I've a lot of ridiculous stories from there. Stuff like, being with 3 races in a day, and lots of threesomes, and it was just a lot of bathroom sex. It was the majority of sex I had was bath. So it was very quick, and I really perfected my skills over there. So for me, it was. Some people think it's difficult, but I guess the Irish accent was very helpful. And yeah, you have to be aggressive over there.
You were living in Manhattan.
Yeah, 145th and Broadway. So that is up in Harlem, but it's West Harlem. It's kind of a lot of students from Columbia University up there, but it's a Spanish neighborhood.
Yeah.
So a lot of Latinas.
Right. Yeah. I was only in New York once, but I just turned 18. So it was before my day gaming days. It was
Yeah.
that, but yeah, it was if I went things don't look too good there now, with all the lockdowns and all the beer bug and all that. So, but I imagine back in the day, when were you there again?
So 5 years ago,
5 years ago. Mm.
yeah. So it was. I mean, I kind of obviously COVID changed things, but
Mm.
the city's still the city. But the thing about New York is it's sort of bittersweet leaving there because there's sort of a transient nature. The majority of people, friends I had there, they've all left the city now. It has a constant turnover. I had a few friends who were actual New Yorkers, but they're few and far between. So it's kind of bittersweet there. My family used to own a pub over there. We had a pub in Greenwich Village. My uncle and my dad, they had it for 20 years. So there was a connection there as well.
Right. So
So we
running
do.
pubs is in the family.
Oh yeah, my granddad, he was a farmer, and then he bought a pub in Blanchardstown in Ireland. And I'm a third generation bar owner, so it's in the blood. I've been working in bars since I literally grew up over a pub. Like we had the room over the pub, the family pub. So I mean, literally, it runs in my veins, the booze.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, it's like I mean, if you're an Irishman in New York, I mean, it's obviously a very diverse city, right?
That's what I liked about it the most.
So
I mean, you got
you pick
everything
and
on the
choose.
menu over there. It's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
you just got
Yeah.
everything over there, everything, and yeah, and lots of models, lots of. The thing is, and it's the mentality of the girls who go to New York. So they want to live that Sex in the City lifestyle. There's so much anonymity.
Yeah.
So the mentality is very it's a free for all. It's a free for all. It was in fact, I got player burnout. The guys talk about player burnout when
Yeah.
they just go through too much, and I did get genuine player burnout over there. I
Right.
was it was just drinking, screwing, drinking, screwing, drinking, screwing, drinking, screwing, and I was always like that in my
You
20s. But
probably
in New
got you
York,
probably got drinking burnout.
sorry.
You probably got drinking burnout. Like
No,
if you
that's a feeling that never got the drinking burnout.
no?
No, I did with the pubs
No.
here in Malta because, like, I obviously when the drink is free, everywhere I go, then yeah, I kind of cut down a bit because you get fat, man, drinking
Yeah.
all the time and trying to
Yeah.
get fit as well. It's clashing. It's clashing.
Yeah. So what did you work at over there?
Unofficially, officially, I didn't work. Let's just say that.
Right.
I can't say anything more.
Yeah.
I currently can't go back to America. I applied for a visa last year, 2019. They wouldn't give it to me. They didn't say why. Because I traveled to, they've 7 countries, and if you've been to any of these 7 countries, you need to apply for a visa. You don't get the visa waiver, and they are, I believe, Syria, Sudan, Libya, Iraq, Iran, Somalia. Where is another place? Afghanistan, and I'd been to like 4 of them. So, and then they came back to me and said, we can't give you the visa. And then they asked for 15 years of my travel records, including all flights and trips within the European Union. And that took me like 2 days to finish because I've been
How
on
would
so
you
much.
even get that? How would you even, like? I mean,
I didn't get all of it. I didn't get all of it. Like I was just like, how do I even? It was
How
an
do you
impossible
start?
task. It was an impossible task.
Yeah. I mean, it's really the bureaucracy get asked. Some government agencies ask you for it's really annoying. I mean, the only close thing I can think of is in Japan, obviously to get a driver's license, if you're from Ireland, you're able to, supposedly you're able to like just give in your license and exchange it for Japanese because it's similar enough. But they make it much more difficult than that. And they were asking me for like all like record. The Japanese, government were asking me for records of like proof that I'd driven like years ago, and like it's where to even start. Like you need records of insurance and stuff like that you don't even have. But anyway, that's just I can only imagine of you trying to find like 15 years of travel records. It's like it's an unreasonable request.
Yeah, it's a bit sad because I had trips. I was supposed to be in New York last New Year's Eve, and it's a bit sad because I was dying to go
2020.
back and see all my friends on a trip, and then I had flights booked to Mexico after that, and the whole thing had to be cancelled because
You
it
mean
wouldn't.
New Year's Eve just passed?
2020, no, sorry,
Um,
2020. So it was last year, not so. It was not 2019. I was supposed to
okay.
arrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah.
that sucks. So hopefully, I don't know if I'll ever get into America, especially now. I got a new passport, but my first trip is to Afghanistan in 2 weeks, so that's immediately going to invalidate that.
You
So I
think
don't know.
you've
I
been
don't know if I'll ever be
blacklisted?
allowed in America, huh?
You think you've been blacklisted or something?
I might be on a list somewhere. I know. I mean, my website stuff is banned in China and the Middle East.
Why is it going?
Just because the content, I'm talking about how to sleep with our women. So
I tried to click on your links and I couldn't get in here in Japan, but I don't know why that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't. This site can't provide a secure connection. Or
oh yeah, no, I need to sort that out. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really blog anymore. Blogging's kind of dead a bit. Like I prefer to doing stuff on YouTube and stuff. And I don't have the energy. I spent 10 years writing for that website, and I just kind of with writing and stuff. I've gotten tired of it. I never even wanted. I had no ambition to be a writer or an author in the first place. And my books have been very well received, but I kind of had a story I had to tell. So. But I think I'm not sure if I'll ever write another book. Maybe, considering what just happened to me last year with I bought a sailboat and I had to be rescued by the Italian Coast Guard and going to Afghanistan. Like it looks like there's enough happening that I might be forced to do it. But I'm happy with just not being killed for the next 10 years. In fact, after this, funny enough, after this interview, I'm meeting a notary to get I have to write a will because. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Afghanistan, and I'm going with a war zone journalist. We're going into the tribal areas in Pakistan to the gun bazaars because he wants to write an article. And then the month after, I have to go back to Sardinia to get my sailboat, which is under repair. And this time, it's going to be my first time sailing solo, and somehow I have to figure out how to get it from Sardinia across the Mediterranean down to Malta, which, last time we had to get rescued. So I'm scared shitless about it. So I made an agreement with all my family that I'm gonna sort out my affairs this week.
Sort out your affairs, it's mental.
Yeah.
I saw the. I was kind of looking at you. I saw you had a sailboat accident. I saw you were happy. I saw you posting that you got a sailboat, and then I saw there was something about getting rescued. So tell us about that.
We had a fire. It started.
The start of wanting to get a sailboat.
So this is a good story actually because my kind of secondary goal was to travel to every country in the world. Right, I had that when I was 20 years old. I was in Uganda and I'd slept with this girl, and she told me afterwards she is HIV positive.
Holy shit!
And we didn't exactly take the precautions we ought to because we couldn't couldn't find anywhere to buy the. Well, it was late at night. We couldn't find anywhere to grab pick up the protection. But she told me this, and back then, this is going back 14 years now. There wasn't the education about the antivirals and stuff. It was a death sentence 14 years ago, and that's what the way it was perceived. And so and it takes 3 months for you to get tested. So those 3 months, I was like, I don't know why I had this idea. Like, I definitely have HIV. I just had this idea, and I was thinking, if I had only 15 years left in my life, what would I do? And I was thinking, oh, you know what? I traveled every country in the world, and luckily was tested, didn't have HIV, but that goal or that idea just kind of festered there. So I kind of lived my life like that until the age of 30. So 30, I landed in my 100th country for my 30th birthday. So anyway, I had this goal of traveling every country in the world. So I saw the map, and I was like, I don't want to just travel every country, and I don't want to be in a rush, because I was in such a rush, because I'm not going to die anymore. I realize this when I'm 30. It's like, I want to slow it down. I don't want to be finished every country by 35 or 40. I want to slow it down. And I thought, I'm going to do it well. So I had a look at the Caribbean, and I saw all those countries in the Caribbean. I said, rather than fly everywhere, that needs to be sailed to do it properly. So in New York, I took my first sailing lesson. I loved it. The whole plan got delayed when I went back to Europe. I had the cash to do the trip after New York, but I had no income afterwards. Like, what was my plan after I finished sailing the Caribbean? I had a boat. I was in the middle of nowhere. Didn't have enough cash to survive. I was like, screw that. Not a good idea now. So now I'm here. I built up businesses here, and I bought real estate. So now I have something sustainable. So then I decided, okay, right, now's the time for the sailboat. Bought the sailboat in Marseille, France. And also, like, it's an expression of freedom. The wind is free, your accommodation's free. You can fish from the sea. Something poetic about sailing. I have a big attraction to it. So I bought the boat, and it didn't forebode well from the very start, because we arrived in Marseille in terrible, terrible weather, 35 knots of wind. They call it the Lion Gulf because of the winds that go over there. And this is the end of October. And we tried to go out after a day or two. And we didn't know this boat. This boat is like 1969, 1970. I don't know. It's a late 60s or early 70s, this Alpen Vega. Strong boat. But when we hit it's only 27 foot, very small.
How much you pay?
It was very cheap. It was very cheap. It was like 6.5K
euro.
Yeah.
Oh, euro. Okay.
Everything boats are expensive, but no. It depends what you want to get. I wanted something that was very seaworthy, and in the late 60s, early 70s, they overbuilt the boats, and it was a famous era for these things called pocket cruisers, which are these old folk boats with long keels that can cross oceans. The same size boat today would cost you, I don't know, 5-6 times the price secondhand, and bit of bad weather, and you're in the bottom of the ocean. They can't handle the weather. They're light. They're built to be fast, not to be seaworthy. So anyway, this particular class of boat, and this was very cheap, 6.5. Usually these cost 10. These boats, 10 grand, 12 grand. So I bought this boat, and we tried to go out, and we got slammed by massive waves, terrible wind, and we had to turn back. Because we couldn't even battle. We tried to go up the coast to Toulon. We couldn't even battle the weather. So we turned back 2 days later, and it's good we did turn back, because the next day with 40 knots of wind, we would have been wiped out. So we only had, the next day we had a weather window. If we went just straight south, as opposed to going along the coast and just chance our arm for 12 hours, battling the sea. And we managed to make it, but it was scary as hell. We take shifts during the night, and it's completely black at night, and you have these massive waves crashing over the bow, just drowning you. It's wet, it's cold, you're getting pounded.
How far out to sea were you when this happened?
Oh, the rescue.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get to that in a minute, because we got through the weather. That weather, and then we were about 2 days on our third day, so we were across the Mediterranean to Sardinia, and then I have a video on this on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out. It's called My Sailing Disaster on Naughty Nomad, and then about just when we just spotted land, so this after 3 days, we just spotted land, and we turned off the engine. We had the engine turned on to power up the batteries and stuff. So because we contacted with VHF and all this stuff, and then it was at nighttime, and we turned off the engine. I'd say we were about 40, I think it was 40 kilometers from land. So relatively near. That's still like hours and hours away, because you're only going 7-8 kilometers in good weather an hour. So it's about 3-4 hours away. And and then we just noticed this smell. I was like, what's that fucking smell? And it's rubbery smell. And then we see all this smoke coming from the cabin below, like from the engine room.
Right.
Oh man, I tell you what, I was never more terrified in my life. And fire in the engine room, and all our lights went out. So first there was the smell, and then all the lights went out. So all the navigation lights, all the electronics, complete pitch black in the middle of the ocean, and we're like, oh shit! And then the smoke, and we got down, and the guy I was sailing with, Fabio, he got the fire extinguisher, and like, you're not supposed to open up the engine room from the inside, and if there's a fire, because all the oxygen goes in, you're supposed to open it from the outside. And this guy is an instructor. He was my instructor here in Malta. He's a very experienced guy. But when you're so panicked when something like that happens, you're not thinking. So opened up, the oxygen feeds in. He was in such a panic to put out the fire that there was no fireball or anything like that, but he was in such a panic that, like, he takes the fire extinguisher and he sprayed it in his face, like, because he was just and then all of a sudden we're coughing. There's just all this commotion, and luckily got the fire out. We managed to reroute power from and our motor was dead then after that. So the fire had caused the electrics to fry. It was electrical fire. So we had no motor. We managed to reroute power from the batteries directly to the VHF. So we called the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard came out after a few hours. They tried to tow us from the front of the boat on the cleats. The cleats snapped off with the pressure of the weather. Because it was such a bumpy ride. So they had to leave us there. So we tried to sail in. And long story short, we had to call a towing company, and it cost me a fortune to get that thing towed in after. And it was a hellish experience, man, absolutely hellish. And it's still there.
Remind me, how did you notify the Coast Guard, or who? Or
we directed power from the battery to the VHF radio.
Oh, okay.
And then when we got in close enough, so that screwed up. That rescue screwed up, and we tried to sail in. There wasn't a lot of wind, but we sailed in close enough to the shore so we could get mobile phone reception to call the towing company, and we turned it on. And the first thing we did when we connected to data from land, we saw that in the GPS that we were headed straight for underwater rocks. We're like in a direct collision course. For danger zones. We're like, shit, we had to like jibe and tack, and our batteries were running out, so we couldn't actually get in further. We just had to call it in. And it was like, I got quoted the next morning €6,000 for the tow.
$6,000 just for a tow?
Yeah, because they do it by nautical miles, and we were 11 nautical miles, or was it 8 nautical miles or 11 nautical miles? From shore. So I took hours to get back in with the tow. It was really slow, and it was, oh man, I was just imagining being back in Malta, just having some soup and watching Netflix, because it was cold and it was the most expensive day of my life. And it was like, the boat was in bits, and we had it's still in Sardinia. In fact, they didn't even have a place in the marina at that time. I got told the next day that I have to quarantine the boat for 2 weeks. There's no place at the marina. The other guy had to go home, and it's a $6,000 bill. So it was a bad day.
You'll have those.
No, yeah. I managed to sort out the marina. I got the guy down. I got the price down, and so I'm going over now in March to try and fix it, because the mechanics there are absolutely useless. I've been contacting constantly; they never do anything. So I'll have to fix it myself. It's just basically have to replace all the wiring. I mean, the engine's intact. I don't know. But the next 2 months. This is why I'm making a will. after this meeting.
What do you think would have happened if you didn't get rescued? If you couldn't make wood?
It would have been like, I'm sure we probably would have waited till daybreak and try and say, we'd no motor though, so we would try to sail it in. I made a mistake because, well, not a mistake, but I didn't think something bad would happen on that trip. But the first thing I was going to do when I got back to Malta was get solar panels so I can power it. We had some alternative power source. If we had an alternative power source, we wouldn't have to worry about our phones and our GPS. And our GPS, I mean, this is like your navionics. It shows you the depths of the water and obstacles in the water. If we had access to charting software, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But the fact that our battery's dying and our charting was going to be on the blitz, we had to call it in. And also, like, you're not thinking logically in those things. Just want to be fucking all here, just save our souls. Like, it was, and you know, the weather was rough as well. This is late October. It was just, we would have tried to sail it in for sure, sail it in to land on daybreak, and then try and navigate our way into marina, maybe get a tow right next to the marina. Yeah, that's what would have happened. But we could have hit something underwater with our charting software gone. We could have hit any sort of obstacle. So you don't know. It probably would have been fine. But
was the sea choppy at all when that was happening? Was the sea choppy at all when that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that didn't help, obviously. That didn't help.
No, that's what caused the cleats to break when the Coast Guard. It wasn't too choppy now, but it was choppy enough to break the cleats. It was like, but it was nothing compared to the first 12 hours. That was just torture. And we arrived at the marina. Like, they had a couple of old guys who own boats, and they walked down to us, and they said, "You sailed that from Marseille?" They were like shaking our hands and stuff, like, "You're madmen." They thought we were lunatics because the sail is 27 footer in 30 knots of wind across the Med in October is apparently suicidal. I've been told that it'd be much easier to do the Atlantic than what we experienced. So the Atlantic apparently is easier in the right season. So
the Atlantic's pretty wild. I mean, I'm familiar with how scary the ocean can be because I used to do a bit of surfing. So if you've ever been surfing in the west coast of Ireland, you understand
huge waves.
Yeah, I wasn't surfing the huge waves, but I surfing small waves. But still, you can get. I mean, it's scary the power of the ocean. I mean, it's
it's like the. I mean, you're out there. We didn't see the 3 days. We didn't see a single boat by eye. 3 days of no one. It's like a desert, the world's biggest desert. The only time you saw any sort of semblance of other boats was at nighttime. You'd see maybe a distant light on the horizon during the night watch. But God, it's empty ocean. You really are alone out there. You really are.
Anyway, you came out of it alive anyway, so it's good stuff. Have you ever seen the big waves in Ireland, where is it?
Donegal. Oh yeah, massive. I mean, the west coast of Ireland has some incredible waves, especially they had the world champions up in Donegal before.
Yeah, I think they've had Red Bull big wave surfing competitions around the west coast.
I haven't tried surfing. Let's try. I used to own a wakeboard and I used to do a bit of wakeboarding, but I never got the opportunity to try surfing yet. But
it's a great sport. It's hard to get the hang of, but it's definitely it's a unique sport. You're riding on a wave. It's an amazing experience. But so like we were saying earlier, I was saying, which was the best place for women, and you were saying
for me, New York, because the thing about it is, obviously Africa and Asia and Latin America are amazing places. But in New York, at least you don't have to worry about them robbing your wallet in the morning.
You don't? Are you sure? I like New York. I thought you'd meet some ratchet women there. But
Yeah. But yeah, well, I remember one occasion, but but no, but usually no. But you know, in first world, think about first world, it's not complicated. I mean, if you go
mm,
to, I said, if you're in Thailand or you're in
oh yeah,
Zambia or you're in Colombia, sometimes you go out at night, you meet girls with bad intentions.
right,
So
yeah.
even though Eastern Europe is good as well, I mean, but it's not as easy as New York.
But yeah, I remember when I was over in New York, it was, I was only 18, just turned 18, and I hadn't done much traveling at all. So I went over to, and I saw, I was just blown away by how many hot girls there was back then. That's like 14 years ago now. So, but it was the first time I went to a strip club. I got a lap dance. It was like, I was like, holy shit, I want to live here. Um, and yeah, there was really seedy parts of it as well. Near Times Square, I don't
Yeah,
really remember.
it's surprisingly gritty, which I like
Yeah,
about it as well. It can get very gritty, which has a certain appeal to it. But in terms of like you're asking about girls around the world, I think that the best looking in the world are like Eastern Slavs, Ukraine, Belarus, that part of the world. The easiest place if you're a white guy is Philippines,
right.
Southeast Asia.
It's very subjective, isn't it? For guys, but
Yeah, yeah, no,
for
no, but it's pretty easy, and it depends on your race as well. Like, I
right,
personally like Africa because I'm into darker
right,
girls.
okay.
Africa's king for me, but I think we got a question about Africa actually. Once I keep it up, Mark, from your time, and it's Lawrence there.
Lawrence, let's see.
Yeah.
This one. Great chat, gents. Keep it up. Mark, from your time in Africa and thoughts on the lovely women and their wigs. I found they are very self aware and particularly in the bedroom. Would you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, like they're very confident, if that's what he means. Like they're super
Right.
confident and really good in the bedroom.
Okay.
As for the wigs thing, is funny because
What about
you know because that is a thing. There's a lot of wigs.
okay.
The poor girls with wigs. You want to go with a girl with a weave.
Mm.
You get something you can grab onto, or if you go to like Ethiopia, their hair is natural, or they've naturally their hair is all natural. But yeah, there has been an occasion. I remember one particular occasion where a girl in the morning she had no wig on. I was like, that's so weird, that they put that. That's but yeah, no. I mean, it's a great. The bodies over there are just insane, man.
Yeah,
You
you like
get
the curvy types.
yeah, like you're with girls who are like 2 meters tall, tiny waists, huge asses. They got the whole they got the whole package, and you just like you you can't believe that some of the chicks you can pull over there. It's pretty incredible.
Wow. It sounds like you maybe wouldn't be so attracted to Japanese women.
Oh,
They're very
I loved. I had a Japanese girlfriend for a year.
okay. In where
Yeah,
did where?
in Ireland. She was
Okay.
18. She was 18 as well. She used to dress up in the schoolgirl outfit for me.
She
Uh,
came over because like she came over with like she lived in Ireland or what? What was going
yeah,
on?
she was studying in DCU actually.
She was only 18.
She was so cute. Yeah, yeah, she was so cute. She was doing a year like Erasmus or something like that, and she was so
Wow.
cute. And yeah, she was great. I was really sad to see her leave actually because she was so she's really pretty for which is
Yeah.
surprising because usually I don't find there's a lot of pretty East Asians.
You
You
gotta
know,
come to Japan, man.
yeah.
You don't understand. Like
Well,
I mean, a lot of
I'm only
people.
judging this on Seoul. I was only in Seoul, and I was like,
Uh,
I'm actually putting up all the good-looking girls I saw in Seoul end up being Japanese.
no, if you come to Japan, you'll be blown away. I never had a. I just like hot girls. I don't. I before coming to Japan in 2015, I didn't have any. I didn't have yellow fever. I didn't have a like an Asian fetish. But when I came here, it's like holy shit. These are not the girls that that come. Usually come that Asian girls I see in Ireland. These are
All,
unbelievably attractive, and they're
and
very. You know.
the average girl. See, the thing is, the average standard there is really high because they're all slim.
they're all slim. They all care about their fashion. They all, they understand aesthetics very well. So they everything's a fine art here. So they understand, like they have their nails done, they have their makeup done, but in a really artistic, great, like really good way. That it's not like gaudy. It's not, it's just very well done. They really understand things, aesthetics and beauty, and it's they have their fashion down. It's incredible. Like if you like legs, Japan is the country to come to, because here it's kind of taboo to show their cleavage, but Japanese girls, like, oh man, you come here in the summer, they'll wear the tiniest little skirts and high heels, and like it's insane. It's a good place.
I'm just looking at your style now, the glasses as and thing. Do you play up the Conor McGregor thing, lookalike thing at all over there?
No, they don't even know who he is over here. But
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah, no, well, some people would, but girls definitely wouldn't. I mean, girls definitely not. Japan is it's kind of removed from that, but yeah, Japanese girls wouldn't have a clue about Conor McGregor, even though he's obviously a huge name, but you know, it's just not a thing. But yeah, how you've never been to Tokyo, have you? You've never been to
No,
Japan?
actually, I don't know how I haven't been there. There's like few places where I don't understand how I haven't been there. Like Tokyo and Rio, they're the two cities that I'm like, how have I not been there yet? Because I'm so weird. Like someone says to me, "Oh, let's go to Brazil," and then another person says to me, "No, let's go to Papua New Guinea," and I'm like, "Papua New Guinea." I'm just weird. I have a weird travel taste. The weirder sounding it is, I'm there first. So I kind of like the more popular places. They're not so high on my list. I don't know why. I can't wait to go to Tokyo. And no doubt I'm going to go very soon. But just it's weird. I don't really plan my travels these days. Sort of opportunities present themselves.
Right. You
And
go,
like for example, this trip to first of all, COVID, you can only travel to certain places. Afghanistan is one of the only countries open, and it just so happens that a war zone journalist friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm going this time," and checked the flights. The flights worked out really well, and I was like, it's been like that for the last couple of years. Just whatever trips have happened, they've kind of just presented themselves naturally. I don't really plan it. It's very strange. But I will get there. It's only a matter of time. I was trying to get over there for the Rugby World Cup last time, but none of my friends wanted to go for some fucking reason.
It was funny. Yeah, I saw a lot of Irish around Tokyo. They all stuck out like a sore thumb. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Like Irish people, everyone in Japan, it's bucketing rain. Japanese people wearing umbrella, and then you see the Irish just getting drenched walking down the street. It's an Irish. What is it about Irish people? They refuse to use umbrellas. But
yeah, we don't. We're just so used to it. I guess it's like it's if it rains, it rains.
But yeah, it's even the other tourists that came here is like they'd use an umbrella or whatever, because they're like, you can buy it's part of the culture. When it rains, you just use an umbrella. Like they're so cheap that every convenience store has one. But I just saw, every time I saw an Irish person in the Rugby World Cup, because it was raining a lot at that time, there was like typhoons and stuff, like heavy rain. And you see every other foreigner, every other tourist over to watch it, they'd have an umbrella, but you'd see the Irish in the green, they'd be drenched walking down, like just.
But, they probably feel shy about going in, and they don't know what the word for an umbrella is. They're just like, I don't know. Yeah. Well, we got another question there, I think, from Shane D.
Shane D says, "Hi guys, great chat. In your travels around the world, is it hard to find a woman who enjoys to swallow and anal? Cheers."
What an odd question. No.
It's a really subjective thing. It depends on the girl, isn't it?
And also, well, I mean, the anal thing is there is some countries that have issues about that. Like, in some African countries, that's considered very dirty and taboo. Whereas in the Middle East, oddly enough, it's considered more acceptable in some places, like Iran, because they're not losing their virginity if they take it in the rear. So
it's kind of that makes it even more like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
I'd be frustrated. I'd be frustrated with that now, to be honest.
I don't
If I
know.
could, if because you're like, this bit's forbidden. You only get the dirty bit. No, no, I want the.
I don't know. It's kind of
I want
kinky. I'm
it
afraid.
is kinky.
uh,
Uh,
since you mentioned that, oddly enough, in Japan, it's they censor the pornography in Japan. But funnily enough, they don't censor the anus. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. So if you ever see Japanese porn, even in the magazines, they'll censor the vagina, but they won't censor the anus.
I think I asked you this last time about Japan, because one thing I've noticed about East Asians in general, including Japanese, is they don't really shave their private parts. Is that still the case in Japan? Like, what percentage shave and what percentage just let it wild?
It's kind of depends. Like in Tokyo, pretty much every girl will shave, like, will have her vagina taken care of, because in recent years they've taken off with laser hair removal. Business has exploded here, and that's a good thing for me, because I personally I like a shaved pussy. But yeah, even when you're riding the trains, you see these adverts all on the trains, like for laser hair removal. And oddly enough, you see laser hair removal for men's beards. Some Japanese,
beard.
yeah, it's like permanent removal of a beard, and it's not, it's because 99% of Japanese men have shaved their face.
Yeah,
And,
so it's a pain in the ass for them just to be
yeah,
every
but
day. Just
I can't believe some guys would sign up to do that. That's kind of like chopping your balls off.
yeah, it feels like that. That would feel like that for me. God, that's
Yeah.
terrible. And then you go to Indonesia and Southeast Asia, and they're using myoxol and finasteride on their faces just to try and grow a beard because they're so desperate to have one.
Yeah.
It's
So,
funny.
yeah, the thing about beards is in Japan, like, it's, I don't know. I think most girls don't actually like them, but it's like I'm a foreigner anyway, so I just roll with it, and
Mm.
I'm not really gonna get the girls that don't like that kind of Western look anyway. So I just kind of embrace being a Westerner. I don't try and be Japanese in any way.
But yeah, you gotta ham it up.
So you've obviously been to a lot of countries. So you were saying, well, what would be number two? You obviously New York was like just degeneracy, like just you're just
Good question. Philippines. I'm thinking Philippines. That's sort of a free for all over there. Yeah, I mean that's just in terms of hedonism I'm talking about. Now this is just quantity. For quality, probably the likes of Ukraine, Kiev, in particular.
I've heard good things.
Sorry.
I've heard very good things about Kiev and Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, in the West, I don't think they're as good looking in the West with the more ethnic Ukraine. I think the Russian ones are nicer. This was my opinion. But yeah, the Belarusians as well, Minsk, and that even in you can see some stunners in Belgrade and various cities throughout the eastern Slavic region. Even if you go down to Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and all those parts where you can get some lovely Russian blood as well. So and also like Colombia is for bodies and faces. It's just
bodies
insane.
And I imagine there's like
Colombia is just. I mean, you see some just your eyes pop out of your head stuff because obviously a lot of them have get the surgery done there. You got such a variety of looks over there as well because in the north they're darker and they got more of the Afro. You get a lot of girls who you get the kind of the African flavors, and then you go to Medellin and it's more European. So you got a great mix there, and just I love the way they are. They kind of got all this. They got that sensual. Like Africans are kind of raw sexuality, whereas they're more sensual in the Latin countries. They got that really nice mix of the sexual and the sensual, whereas the raw sexuality is quite absent in, let's say, East Asia. They're not like Jamaicans where they're dagging it. They're more about respect. They're more cutesy and stuff like that. So I kind of like Colombians are like, I mean, it's the same thing you'll find out in all the forums, that there's generally sort of a consensus that these same countries pop up again and again. The Ukraines, the Colombias, the Brazils, Southeast Asia for different things. Africa is just the only one that people don't talk about because they just don't know about it. Like if you go to Ethiopia, you'll see some of the most beautiful women in your life, and the bodies. You go to Uganda and you'll see everything magnified by 10. What you see in Colombia, it's just a.
I remember I went to a strip club. Actually, it was in Dublin actually, and there was a girl from. She was from Ethiopia, and it was the hottest African woman I've ever seen in my life. I was like, just she was really petite, but she was unbelievably curvy. I never really seen African women like that.
They're different. The northern tribes are called Habishi women. They're the northern tribes. They're found across Eritrea as well. They're just a different breed, man. They don't even look. They're like Semitic in origin, so they're kind of mixed between African and Middle Eastern. They're just a different breed altogether. I remember my first trip to Ethiopia. I saw a homeless woman who I'd marry. You're like, oh my god, you are gorgeous. She's there like looking for. I'm like, you are so hot. How are you? I just, I've been there twice now. It's a good spot, but they're a little trickier than other places in Africa because they're not so, I guess, easy, but they're certainly beautiful. Like Africa's underrated. It's like places, if you go to like Lagos, Nigeria, or Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, these are huge cities, and you get the cream of the crop. Like for example, Nigeria, you got 200 million people. And imagine this one island off Lagos, the Victoria Island, which is where they do all the Nollywood films and all the rich live. You're getting the cream of the crop of 200 million people, and the stunners you see over there just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. Much better than the cream of the crop you'll get in most of Asia, in my opinion. But I have a little bit of bias because they have it all. I mean, they have the face, they have the bodies. They got the confidence, and it depends what you're into. But yeah, you see these, apart from the typical ones, which is the Ukraines and these places, there is places in Africa where you get you get that really, really high quality as well. This Shane D is asking, how do you guys feel about being older women? I'm not into older women at all now. I like always like them a bit younger.
Yeah, I would say I would say I kind of have a fetish for MILFs, but it's only smash and dash, pump and dump. There's no real, like, I don't feel like the need to chase it. It's just purely just a one-time thing. Because the reason I have that, I know the reason I kind of have a thing for MILFs is because I went to an all male school, and the only females I was around growing up were like older, kind of, I had that the teacher thing.
So you'd fantasize about your friend's mom, kind of thing. Whoever had the hot mom.
I don't know if any of my friends had hot moms, maybe one or two, but yeah, certainly some of my teachers. But yeah, every day of the week I'm going to choose, an 18 to 21-year-old over an older one, over a MILF, like every day. But MILFs can
what's the oldest you've ever been with, actually?
Oh man, I think it was 50. I think it was 50.
Holy moly!
It was. I'll tell you. I was over in Thailand, and I went to this club in Bangkok, and it was kind of a expensive club to get into, and I met this young. I was basically leaving the place, and I met these two women, and there was one really young one, and I took her. She basically the older woman, the one that I ended up banging. She said, "Take her and take care of her, and like take her home." And I said, "Yeah, cool." And then, but she said, "First, walk me to my car. Well, you got to walk me to my car." So
okay.
we both walked her to. It was so bizarre. We walked her to a car, and it was like a souped up Merc, like a really, really expensive one. And
she looked good, or
She looked good. Yeah, both look good. But anyway, I ended up taking, and she said, "Okay, take my number because I want to make sure she's okay and you're not a weirdo." So I
Were
took
they
her number.
related?
I No, they were friends
All right.
in the end, apparently. And so I took her number, and she said, "Message me," and I messaged her. I took the other one back to my hotel, the young one. I took her back to the hotel and wrote her and had a good night with her. And then she left, and that was it. And then the next day, the older woman said, "Did you have a good time with uh, the girl?" And I said, "Yeah, we had a great night." So she said, "Well, I'm having dinner later. You're welcome to come." And I said, "Sure." I went and had dinner with her, and she took me out around Bangkok to all these really expensive these clubs, like private VIP. Like we were driving up to she was driving the Merc, and we would drive up, and there'd be a valet, and they'd take her car, and we went in. Yeah, long story short, I wrote her at the end of the night. She was
You're an escort for the night, basically.
yeah, so that was
That's
that.
funny. I
But
think.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think.
yeah, I prefer younger women for sure.
Mm,
Like there's just no doubt about it. Um,
I think 43 was mine. That's my
43.
yeah.
Yeah, where was that?
Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not Ireland. I thought I like since coming to Japan.
She was
Like
Portuguese though.
right. Okay.
Mm,
Since what do you think about the state? It's not only Ireland, but it's like basically the Anglosphere, like English speaking
mm,
countries. The state of Western women like in my opinion, I don't know what your opinion is really bad, like really bad in terms of attitude, in
yeah.
terms of in terms of like physically, in terms of femininity. It's gotten so bad, like so unattractive. I'm like honestly, any Western women I meet, the only like kind of bad attitudes I get in Japan, like in turn, are from other Western women. Like they always have like a beef. They always have kind of some negativity or some passive aggressiveness when they meet me, because it's like every Western guy that comes here, they kind of love it. So not
Hmm.
everyone, but a lot of people enjoy it and they stay, but Western women never last because it's not, Japan is like, it's not about all that woke kind of, all that woke culture and stuff, all the feminism and all the like really aggressive kind of anti-patriarchy. So what's your opinion?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as a whole. Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the Anglosphere because I do definitely think it's an Anglosphere phenomenon. I do think that in Dublin it's pretty bad, but still, like if you go to the countryside in Ireland, it's still quite traditional. It's a bit old school. I mean, I'm just thinking about my family. We have 27 cousins and 13, like not a single divorce from their first wives in my family. Like it's still a bit old school, and even the mentality of some of the women in Ireland is still pretty traditional. I would say, well, relatively conservative. Femininity is lacking for sure in certain respects, but in terms of England and America and Australia, they're particularly affected. I think you'd be nuts to be with an American and expect to raise a healthy family. But
Yeah,
that's just so
100% agree. It's
that's
really
just
really bad. Every
yeah,
American
it's
girl
particularly
I met in Japan has a really, really bad attitude, and especially because we're both, it's because I'm a white male, like it's like, oh, it's super evil then,
oh no, that whole social justice thing, that's a different breed
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah. But
There's a lot of them in
even
New York.
white girls will be like, they'll have this passive aggressiveness about it, particularly because I'm, a white male in Japan.
It
They'll
just
have this
they're
kind of
just pissed off, man. They're just
you're pissed
because I mean
off. Yeah.
because the sexual market value switches in Japan. Their status is lower, yours is higher, and that there's a resentment about that.
There's a serious
Uh,
because they know that I have way more options than them, and they just don't like it.
Well, yeah, because it's like a lot of the same thing happened when Irish girls when they go over to America. They're not into the American guys. But they end up trying to go for the Irish guys, all the Irish girls in America, but then the Irish guys are getting all the attention from the Americans, so they don't get a look in, and the women get pissed off with it, you know. It's the same thing over there, because a lot of white chicks aren't into Asian dudes. Let's be real. So they try and go for the white dudes, but the white guys are so high in demand that their sexual market value is so high that they don't get a look in, or a really hot white girl will have to settle for like less good looking white dude over there. So of course they're pissed off at the situation. It's not ideal for them. I don't know why any white chick would be living in Asia.
They never last though. I often talk about this with MLD, John. Like, you know, I hang out with John a lot off, you know, he's out here in Tokyo, so you know, we always these Western chicks, they never last, and they really resent like that. Yeah, Western guys enjoy living there, you know, because they try and bring all their woke progressivism with them, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I honestly hope Japan never falls to that. It would be very sad.
Nah, they're too xenophobic. I mean, they shut off the border. They're I mean, the fact that it's a language thing as well. I think you're all right there in Japan. You know, I think we got a few questions actually. We can.
Yeah, well, Devanish says, "How to stop caring about how others are gonna judge you and present yourself with confidence." You want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. It takes a long time to get over that. Present yourself with confidence. This is the whole faking it till you make it. Ultimately, confidence comes from experience, so it's kind of a catch-22. So the first thing you got to look at is the fundamentals, the foundations. You know, it's always better to have the confidence from something innate. Like, I mean, are you going to the gym? Are you getting stronger? Are you learning languages, developing yourself? Do you have an interesting life? Are you traveling, or are you into something? I mean, are you an interesting person? Because I mean, these kind of fundamentals, if you've a person that's kind of interesting and well read and has an interesting life experience, you're going to be more confident in general. So look at the fundamentals first. The whole not judging thing. Every single person, no matter how experienced a guy is at approaching women, whether he's approached 1,000 girls or guys like me or really experienced men, we still have the exact same concern when we go up and talk to girls. We still feel the fear. What you need is courage. And courage, this is why the 3-second rule exists. Your brain will always try and talk yourself out of doing something. It's just courage, man. You have to just go for it and be down about the consequences, and eventually get experience that way. But everyone, you can't stop caring what other people. We're human social animals. We all are concerned about being judged. You can't stop that. You can't stop it. So you just have to feel that emotion and battle it. It's never going to go away. So
it does get easier though. I mean, you start to not give a shit, especially as you gain success. As your notch count, as your sexual experience grows, you will start to not care as much about rejection.
It's funny because it's sort of like you need that attitude more in the beginning, and it's less important later on. And the thing is, it's a cycle, because it's always hardest at the start. The first 100 approaches are always the hardest, and you just gotta go do it, man. It's good if you have a friend. They have games where you give each other you give each other €50, or and then every time you give your friend €50, and every time you approach someone, he has to give you your €10 of it back. So if you don't approach those 5 girls in a night, for example, he keeps the €50. So little games like that are good for forcing yourself to do it. So if you got a buddy, that's a little game that's can be beneficial for that. Aside from that, I recommend in terms of if you're worried about confidence and stuff like that, learn things like The Cube, read books like The Game, learn some little gambits if you're worried about conversations, and you can use little crutches at the start for that. Sorry, our next question is... One second.
Yeah, so next one is...
Hey Mark, what happened to you in Israel that make you dislike Israeli? I would say that I had a very myopic experience because I was in Jerusalem, I hear Tel Aviv is completely different, and I think I judged Israel way too harshly, because I met a few fanatics while I was there. I had the same experience in Egypt. Just Jerusalem, I know, attracts a lot of. We were there dressed like Mexican pirates, and usually when we're dressed like Mexican pirates, we get a really good reception. But there we were kind of treated with a bit of hostility, and I guess we made the mistake, or my friends made the mistake of getting into a few conversations that involve politics, and we got a lot of quite a hostile reception. And Israelis are not big fans of Irish people. That was my impression when I was there, because we obviously sent a lot of boats on the flotilla to Gaza, and we have the largest Palestinian solidarity campaign in Europe. So, because there's similarities with the history, I've definitely softened my stance on how I feel about things over there politically. I mean, I've Israeli friends, I've got Jewish friends, and I do. If you read my last book, I definitely have softened my views on that whole thing, because I guess I kind of grow up a bit brainwashed as well, looking at things solely from the Palestinian side. But the thing about Israeli chicks, and I've been with an Israeli chick before, the army does masculize them somewhat. So they're a little bit rough around the edges, but no doubt there's some gorgeous ones. I mean, a lot of them come from Belarus and Russia, and they're very attractive. But I don't have any sort of real dislike for Israeli women. I think I definitely wrote on my blog some quite inflammatory statements about them at the time, but that's because I was a little bit more younger, a little bit more controversial. But I wouldn't say I dislike anyone. Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to go to Tel Aviv, and I'm sure I'd go back there, meet my friends over there, and have a completely different experience. But admittedly, though, I did write quite harshly and judge them quite negatively after my first experience. One of my friends got beat up over there. We were only there for one night as well, so a very limited experience. We had a lot of negative experiences there, and it was just maybe just the experience we had. But I'm completely willing to give it a second chance, and I don't dislike anyone.
So. All right.
Shalom.
Devin says, I think that sadly in a country like India, people don't like individuals that stand out. Losers start spreading rumors and bad-mouthing you for no reason. Is that
Yeah, I imagine. I know. I don't know what what it's like in India, but of course, the nail that sticks out will be hammered down. That's when I went out and started peacocking, dressing a bit crazy. Sorry.
That's a Japanese proverb, by the way, that you just said.
Is it Japanese? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So yeah, of course, people are because guys will. It's like crabs in a bucket. If you try to stand out, they're going to bring you down. But if they're losers, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the same as them? So do stick out. It doesn't matter what you're going to have to take chances, but don't fall at that crabs in the bucket mentality. You find a group of friends, a tribe of friends who are on your same wavelength. And have a growth mindset. That's really important.
You want to answer this one?
It's everywhere. It's the same everywhere. The polarizing personality should I just cut off. A lot of guys say this about cutting off. Just cut off negative people in your life. First of all, if it's family, don't be so quick to cut them off. I mean, family is important. I've had friends from school who maybe have are negative about certain aspects of stuff, but they're still your childhood friends. People have different personalities, you got to accept it. But however, you definitely need to cut out negativity in your life, and if you feel like someone's properly toxic, get less of them and get more people in your life that are positive and have a growth mindset. I mean, they say that you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So just allocate your time better.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. It's like
you don't have to burn your bridges, though.
You don't have to burn bridges. Well, some people you might have to, but
in extreme cases.
If they're not any benefit, but it's yeah. So cool. Go on. Yeah.
Oh no, so there is, if you, I'm sure there's loads of guys in the manosphere red pill space would tell you like just cut those people out, like never talk to them, just delete them from your phone, and just be kind of like super strong about that. But I mean, it's all about it's life is full of nuance, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Some people are just, they might not be the most successful people. They might not be, they mightn't be, the best people to be around, but they're kind of fun to be around. So you could
Oh,
just
well,
limit your time around them instead of cutting them out completely.
yeah, and even sometimes like I've had one or two friends that had issues, childhood friends that have fallen into negativity traps, and their mindset is not right. And what I do is I try and be a leader for them. I try and be a coach. I say, listen, you should read this book, or come on to a jiu-jitsu class with me or something like that. Maybe you could be, so if you feel like, I mean, positivity is infectious. So maybe if there's someone close in your life, you can be a positive influence to them. Think of it like that, as opposed to thinking you're catching their negativity. Try and spread positivity. I don't know. That's some hippy dippy.
It's good advice for sure.
Shout out to Troy Francis in the chat.
Troy in the chat. What up, my man? What is
Do you know
good?
Troy? Do you?
Yeah, he's in the group. Yeah. He's in John's group. Hot Dude Army. Yeah.
Is that
I've
like a?
been on Troy's show.
Oh, nice.
I have to get Troy on next. Troy on this show. I'm doing live streams every weekdays. So yeah, I'm trying to get guests on. Trying to diversify. Yeah, it's been a good chat. But you said Binance is in Malta. So is that by the way, how are Maltese? Before we talk about that, how are Maltese?
They're Mediterraneans, they're a mixture between Mediterraneans and Arabs. So, things happen slow here. Let's say that, but it's very relaxed, super safe. It's one of the safest countries in the world. The people here are friendly in general, because Mediterraneans are friendlier than Northern Europeans, but they're a little bit. How can I put it? A little bit moany sometimes.
Yeah. How about physically?
Physically, so they look like kind of Italian, I would say. Dark hair, black hair. You get some nice hips, not very thick. They got kind of cute accents, because they're kind of a little of an English twang in it, but it's Mediterranean. They all speak English. I generally the girls are nicer than the guys. The guys are quite macho Italiano. They can be a little bit machismo, I guess. But but generally, you got when you're dealing with them as business wise, you got to be careful. That's just that. But the girls are quite nice and friendly, and they like foreigners, and generally I'm quite positive about Maltese people. But mainly I just like they're relaxed about things. I mean, everyone laws are not really enforced here. Let's say that you can drink on the street. People don't worry about drink driving. You can kind of pay your way out of things. It's a bit of a mafia. It's a bit of a mafia state. I like that though. I like it. I don't like the likes of Germany or Ireland with all the regulations and stuff. It's not
man, I don't know. Could you ever see yourself going back to Ireland?
100%. Yeah, I want to raise children there, because I wouldn't raise kids here. It's not a great place for kids. Just it's tiny. There's no greenland. Ireland is a good place to grow up, especially if you go in the countryside. I really liked. Where are you from? Where are you from in Ireland? Sligo. All right, so you're deep in the sticks. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd like to raise kids there, and also I'm a very good family structure. I mean, I have 27 cousins, and we are a very close family. We do holidays together every year. And also I want them to have Irish accents. I know it sounds weird, because
I think I agree. Ireland might be a good place to grow up with, but it's an absolutely terrible place to live.
A young single guy.
Yeah, terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. I mean, first of all, just trying to start a life for yourself. I mean, I got most of my friends are in 30s still living at home because they can't get a house because the banks won't give them money.
Seriously
It's a
depressing.
sad state of affairs.
All the regulations. Looking back, it makes me sick. All these regulations.
This is going to blow your mind. How bad the regulation. It's so anti-business, right? I mean, just to get the TV license to show sports, the license for Sky license to show all the sports in Ireland, the license costs for my first bar here. The rent insurance, and the license for my bar for the whole year is less than just the TV license for a commercial license premises in Ireland. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? And that's not even getting it. That's not even counting the insurance. And you got rates, water rates. Like you're paying 20 grand for that. It's free here. The bins are free. It's like.
I don't know. How can you run a business on it? They're trying to destroy it. I mean, especially now. I mean, they're killing it. They're killing all business. Like they're killing.
Especially, I don't know how pubs survive. Like we at the family pub, 3 generations, it's gone. COVID, COVID. That's my family are over here now because the government closed all the bars, wiped us out. 3 generations that pub was in. And then with all the bills and the rates, it was like my dad was like, "Why am I doing business in Ireland? I'm going to go over to Malta with you and let's build the empire." Sadly, it's not a good place to be if you're younger. The whole generation is screwed unless you're married to a doctor. Just so guys who don't know about the situation in Ireland, the banks will only give you 3 times your salary. The average house price, let's say in Dublin, of 350,000. So you need to be earning 100 grand. So you basically need to be hooked up with somebody, another person. Everyone I know who owns a house in Ireland, apart from one, is married with someone who's also a great job. So they both have to have great jobs, and you have to team up. That's just to get your life started. And you have to have you have like 20% deposit as well. It's just, so you need to have 60 grand down. I mean, it's ridiculous. Whereas here, 2 years I had a place. And it was just it's just it's not a good place. You're better off there living in Japan. I encourage, especially guys, man, why unless you got a job in Google or something or Facebook and you're really kicking ass, God, get the hell out. You go home now, you go home to Ireland, everyone's moaning, complaining, oh, the weather's shit, no money, blah blah blah.
No, I mean you can't leave their 5 kilometers from their house. It's sad to see. It's like, it's disgraceful. I mean, it really boils my blood, but we're not going to change it. I mean, you talked a bit earlier about the Binance being in Malta. Are you involved in crypto at all?
Yeah, I bought my first Bitcoin when I was when it was 650 euros. So now it's 37,000 euros. Yeah, so that's. Why do you think? I bought an apartment? Now I probably took profits too early. If I just held on to the man, I'd be a rich man. But I cashed out way too early.
You can live with that because you hear about these people like at least you took profits. You're hearing a lot about people like that have lost their cold storage drives and like they got, you know what I mean? It's gone.
Yeah, I've heard stories. I still have 5 figures in crypto. But I'm just keeping it there. Still got a bit. Huh?
Now is when it's all kicking off.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. I've got my charts up every morning. I'm doing a bit of trading. I love it. I love the space. It was wild in 2017. Oh god, I lost so much cash from that crash though. But yeah, I'm a bit paranoid about the carpet being swept from under us eventually. But I think it's got a bit of steam to go. I think it's just important for guys to have an exit strategy because it's all well and good numbers on screens, but at the end of the day, you need to have real hard assets. So that's why I'm always encouraging guys, take your profits, put them into real estate or or put them into business, build something real because, markets go up and down, and as good as it is now, the people who have real hard assets at the end of the day in a crash be the ones who are going to live comfortably. So diversify and blah, blah, blah. I'm not a financial advisor, the usual.
yeah. But it's
You
good.
yourself, you're into crypto?
I have to be into it because I'm here with, I don't know, obviously
Yeah, I know
John
the guys. They have the
and
Crypto Tokyo show.
the crypto. They're like, they've influenced me a lot. So but I only got in last, in last and John, the first time I started, learning about crypto was John was like, "Dude, buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can." And I was kind of okay. I'll get my account set up, but I didn't act quickly enough. I took action, but not like I didn't realize, when Bitcoin like went down to like four, just under like five. It was around
Yeah,
$4,000
$5 grand.
in March.
Yeah, 10x.
Yeah, so he was like, buy it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know anything about crypto, but yeah, I'll get my account set up in Japan and, doing it through a bank. And, I could have done it a lot quicker, but I took my time but I got into it eventually. And, I've had a few learning. It's been a
Shit
learning
coins.
curve. I
Everything
mean,
on Doge. Everything on Doge now. But
I bought a bit of Doge, but I got out very quickly. But
I like as much as I wanted to. It's like if it's a shit coin, I can't. I got burned too many times with shit coins.
you got burnt too many times.
No, I back stuff with real world potential, like a lot of DeFi projects, and
Right.
yeah, I think I'm really excited about. And actually, I really believe in some of the projects. I think decentralized finance is going to be huge in the future, and ultimately, the governments are printing trillions, so you're going to have an inflationary effect. So I view it as a hedge. The only thing that can be detrimental to the space is government regulation.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm most concerned with, because it's getting too big to ignore. And I wonder at what point uh, will the pressure come on for harsher regulations. So I mean, it's something to think about.
Yeah. Banks are freaking out. All the money's gone into crypto.
That's what I'm saying. You got it, guys. Diversify. Don't put it all like it's great, and like everyone's making a ton of cash. It's amazing. Like it's like I'm waking up and oh, I made $1,000 while I was sleeping. It's a great, but it's at the same time it's like I'm glad I have my businesses now. My businesses are all closed now, but when they open, it's put your money in lots of pots, guys. Start businesses,
Yeah.
get into real estate, peer-to-peer loans, increase your financial IQ, learn to trade, making six figures in just 6 months. Well done, man.
Not
Yes.
bad.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
you can't not
Basically,
make money.
for some serious life-changing profits, um,
Yeah.
I'm very much an amateur on it, but the people I'm around are definitely far from amateurs. So you
Yeah.
kind of, you start to learn by the people you're around. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a yeah. He could be. Yeah. I was thinking the same, Troy. Actually, I'm a bit paranoid. Because I think he's a shield for the establishment, and I think
hmm,
I don't see him being friendly towards it. I mean, it could just take guys. People don't realize. I mean, I was anyone who was in the 2017 bubble. The crash was almighty. Uh, so it could just take one series of bad news cycles, and uh, we can't sell, and it could come crashing. Now the difference is there's a lot of institutional money in this space, so it's matured a lot, and people aren't betting thousands just on literally white papers. In 2017, like you'd put $1,000 into someone who just literally wrote up a white paper and it had a catchy name, and everyone was like buy. It was a bit insane, but it's matured a bit. I do think we've a long time to go in this alt season, but just don't be afraid to take some profits, because greed will kill you. I said put it into real estate and other areas. I think that's important.
good advice, I guess. Yeah, good good advice. But
Real estate, man. I'm telling you, think about it. It depends how much money you want, right? On what your goals are in life. How much money do you need to be happy? For me, if I have a decent passive income that I don't have to worry about. I'm not stressed. I don't have to check charts every morning. Decent passive income every every month, and I don't have to worry. I can eat where I want in restaurants and stuff like that. I'm pretty happy. So it depends. Some people want to be bazillionaires. I get that too.
Yeah.
So,
Money helps things along, but it's not the be all and end all. It's
yeah.
just kind of just as long as you have enough to give you freedom,
Yes,
yeah,
freedom. I think freedom is the. I think freedom is really the metric you got to go
yeah,
for. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's
man.
why I got the boat, man. Because when all the airports shut down during COVID, that's what prompted it. Actually, all these everywhere closed. I'm stuck on this tiny rock in the middle of the Mediterranean, nowhere to go. I'm just like, fuck that. Like a government is going to tell me where I can't go. I'm like, I'm not playing by those rules. So I was like, I don't need a bloody plane. I'll get a sailboat and I'll go wherever the hell I want when I want. Yeah, so it's freedom. What good is
Yeah,
money if you're stuck in a cage? I agree.
yeah,
At some point, you need to cash out and get something more tangible. Yeah. Troy knows what I'm talking about. Troy, I think Troy got property as well, but everyone should. Every man should own property. I definitely believe that.
yeah. I'll have to get on that. But
Yeah. Well, is it
yeah,
hard to get property in Japan as a foreigner? Like you probably have a
I
residency
don't know
there.
anything about it. I know that there's a lot of people. There's obviously a very, it's a aging population, so there's a lot. It's saturated market. Um,
As it's easy,
there's
it's so there must be a loads of supply then, right?
sorry, there's just a lot of available properties that are just so the price of property is like crashing because there's so
Ah,
much
yeah,
available.
of course.
Obviously,
Okay, that's
Tokyo is
interesting.
different because it's like one of the biggest cities in the world, but outside of Tokyo and more like countryside
Oh,
suburbs, um it's
so tell
there
me,
are,
tell me this though, because sorry to interrupt. Because caveat to what I was saying about real estate, I mean, I talk about profitable real estate, not a liability. In terms of your mortgage payments are less than what you'll make for the rent back. Obviously, you need to be making a profit on with the rent. So over there, if you were to buy, would you make a profit on the rent?
I haven't looked into property over
You
here
should,
like that.
dude. You should, because there's definitely the opportunities in Ireland are absolutely awful. So you've there, you're making money over there. You have access to financing, and you've probably got a lot of opportunities. So you should definitely look into it because think about what you're doing right now, how you're earning a living. If you got a place, you could be earning passive income for the rest of your life. You could be, and you can get financing. There's opportunities there. It sounds like it. You should definitely look into it.
Yeah. It's definitely something
So
I
cool
would
as
look
well.
at.
Like you're traveling around the world and you got a pad back in Tokyo. Yeah, I got a pad back there. It's paying for
It
itself.
would be
It's
nice.
paying for itself. So that's your pension at the end of the day. So it's worth like whatever.
Yeah,
But also it's earning income. So it's a no brainer. I think
yeah.
properties.
For Tokyo being such a huge city and such a good city, rent here is actually it's very affordable. It can be both ways. You can pay like you can have the most luxurious like unbelievably expensive place, or you can have it's livable. It's very livable city, Tokyo. You know,
I'd imagine. I
yeah, yeah.
imagine.
It also has the most millionaires per capita, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Tokyo
So there's
has an immense amount of luxury kind of establishments, and yeah, it's an unbelievably consumeristic society. They love products, they love buying things. It's money, a lot of money in Tokyo.
Oh man, I want to go.
Yeah, you would like it.
I'll
Hopefully,
get there eventually. I'll get
I'm
there
hoping
eventually.
that I want to start traveling again too. So I'm hoping things start opening up real soon because I'm getting sick of this.
Where
Whole
would you like to go? Where is the first place on your list?
I kind of I kind of want to visit China. I just want to go over. Like I've been to Shanghai, but I kind of want to roll
I
around
like
China.
Shanghai. Yeah, beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. A lot of the south, like Hunan, is gorgeous. Beautiful landscapes.
yeah,
Food is wonderful. Friendly people too. Um, I like China. It's nice.
yeah,
Was the Troy was just saying there's a certain anti-property thing going around these days, but people are always going to need somewhere to live. They said, yeah, and the population's always rising. There is an anti-property bias. There is that kind of. I remember that rhetoric when I was growing up. Oh, it's better to rent, and I don't know why people think that way.
It's much
I
money
really
down
don't.
the toilet. Like it's
Yeah,
great. Like if you buy it, you own it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's obviously depends on where you live, because like here in Malta, for example, another problem with Ireland is we don't there's no property taxes here. So you got to think about that. It's not just, some places it definitely is not a good idea to buy real estate. So you should look abroad where you'll get good yields as well. But just about, we were talking about where would you travel to? You were talking about China. Yeah, China's nice. Yeah, it's a good option. Have you been to? I presume you've been to the Philippines.
No, I wanna go there. I haven't been to that many places. Yeah.
Check it. And Bali's great. I
I've
just
been
did
to
a chat.
Bali.
Yeah,
Been to Bali.
I have a top. I just did a top 10 Southeast Asia video on my channel. I did a whole breakdown on the region. If you're interested in seeing where it's good to go there. Yeah, there's so much places, man. In the chat, anyone, where is the first place you guys want to go? It's a big bad world out there. I know. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to going to Pakistan and Afghanistan
Yeah, man.
in 2 weeks.
Don't get killed.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
Who's the guy you're going with? Some journalist.
I'll go with my friend Dan, who is featured in both my books. He's like one of my best mates. He's traveled to, I think, 40 countries with me or something like that. And Warzone journalist guy Tom Much, I interviewed him on my channel. And then Mike from No Go Zones, like Mike No Go Zones. He's also a YouTuber / blogger. He contacted me on Twitter when he heard I was going, and he's flying in for the Afghanistan part. So he's skipping the Pakistan. So we got quite an eclectic bunch. And Mike, I know, has been to Syria. He likes to go to dangerous places. I've never met him in person, but it's going to be an interesting bunch of guys, but they're all experienced in conflict zones. So yeah, it should be an interesting trip. And I have a local Afghan guy who's politically connected over there. So I already have a hookup for booze, which hopefully will make it interesting, because it's great going to Somalia and all these places, but if you don't have any alcohol, it kind of makes it a bit. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do over there at nighttime.
You like a few drinks.
So yeah, I mean, you don't need alcohol to have fun, but in places like that, sometimes you nothing else to do.
Yeah, you might get some. You might be able to get some some heroin easier than alcohol.
But, yeah, well, listen, I believe 80% of the world's hashish comes from there, and I think it's 90% of the world opium. So if I get an opportunity, I've never done opium before. If I get an opportunity, it's like going to Ireland and having a Guinness. It's just got to be done.
Yeah. Finding out opium den.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, man. We've been going for an hour and a half, but it was a good old chat.
Yeah, we kind of covered a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot. So tell us, where can we find you? Do you have any closing?
Yeah, obviously my blog is naughtynomad.com. I'm not so active over there these days, so usually you can check out my YouTube channel. I think you just type in Naughty Nomad or Mark Zolo. Same on Instagram, Twitter at Naughty Nomad. Yeah, that's the platforms I use mainly. Yeah.
All right, man. Good stuff. It was a pleasure.
And also I gotta plug. I also got to plug, obviously, my books. So you got, as my first one, Naughty Nomad, Not Your Typical Backpacker Story. It got to #1 on Amazon for travel writing. It's really cool adventures over there, Antarctica, Africa, and stuff like that. And my latest book, which got to #1 on Amazon for adventure travel, My Life as a Mexican Pirate, which basically is us going to war zones, dressed pretty much like this and having a blast. And that's been really well received. That was just released last March. So yeah, and if anyone's going to New York, check out my New York book. And you can find them all on Amazon or on my website, naughtynomad.com.
Epic stuff, man. Cool, man. All right, man. I will yeah, we will leave it there. So thanks for everyone who was in the chat. I will catch you guys on Monday for another episode of Player Life. So have a good weekend. Peace out.
See you, lads.